this. All right, Doris, before you ask your question, let's hear your success. What is a success you had either in the program or anything in general?
I don't. I'm sad to report that this past couple of nights I haven't been sleeping well, so I don't know what's going on.
Okay, well, that's unfortunate. Sorry to hear that, but there must be something. There must be some glimmer of light in the last week since we last saw you that that's a success for you.
I do have a little more energy. Notice.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, you had a question about the recording from Tuesday.
Right. When you were doing the eye exercise, the one that not the sun gazing, but the other one where you rub your hands
Yeah.
and then you cup your hand, you cup the eyes, and then you do the poking. Where do you exactly poke? I didn't quite see what you
In
poking.
the corners. So the very corner, inside the corner and outside corner. So that's why I kind of two fingers. So you kind of poke just poke. We get four corners, both two corners of each eye. And it's just a really brief, just enough pressure that you feel it, not enough pressure that you're like hurting yourself, but just enough pressure that you feel it and really quick, like half a second, fraction of a second.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Good question. And then for if you're wondering, Doris, and anyone who's going to watch this on the recording, uh, not only am I in the second bedroom because I'm still having computer issues. Long story short, I decided we just need to buy a new computer. So I ordered a new computer today. Hopefully it comes tomorrow. And I've been sitting so much, this chair that we have in this office, you can sort of see back here. My wife likes it. It's not my usual chair, and I didn't want to haul the chair back and forth. And I've been going back and forth a bit and sitting in this office a lot. It's not good for my tailbones. My tailbones and been starting to bother me a little bit today. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stand. We talked about standing, how to stand properly. I'm going to live my teaching, and so I'm going to stand. And I'm actually trying to break in some new shoes. So I'm actually wearing brand new shoes in the house too. So I'm going to break them in a little bit, do a little bit of movement. So if you see me dancing a little bit, it's not really I'm dancing. I'm just trying to stretch out my my quads and my posterior chain and break in my shoes at the same time.
You have a question. I need to go rewind and hear again. When you mentioned that's the thing you can buy, when you're sitting, like a wedge or something to
Yeah.
help you sit properly. Well, what is that exactly?
You'll see this quite often in I'm just going to move the camera here because I have multiple screens. So I want to just look at you a little bit better here. So let me just move to this side. There we go. So you quite often see in a corporate setting where, HR department, or if there's like a safety department or something like that, they'll get, you can get ergonomic chairs and mouses and keyboards, the whole deal, and that kind of whole sort of department thing. You can get, how do I describe it? It's typically kind of looks like this, some sort of platform, rests on the ground, and sometimes it's adjustable, sometimes it's not. It's maybe wood or typically plastic, and then this part, and there's usually some sort of grips or something on that. Sometimes with circle grips, and it basically just changes the angle. So when you're sitting, instead of having your feet flat, you can have them, at an angle, type of thing. And then as well as when you're standing, you can use the same device so that one foot is, standing and the other foot is, I don't know if that makes sense, is propped up, so you're changing the angle of your hip flexors, right? And of course, you're going to switch legs so that's what it is, or you could just use a block or anything. I used to, when I still worked corporately and I had an adjustable desk, I'd sometimes use a tennis ball or even a golf ball. Obviously, a golf ball smaller and harder. And I would stand, again, depends on the situation. I would take my shoes off, of course, and then I'd roll the golf ball on one of my feet. So just, kind of gently massage, not the Achilles heel, the plantar fascia, and just give it a nice little massage, and kind of especially when you're it depends, right? Dress shoes are not are designed for aesthetics usually, not for functionality. So, again, wearing dress shoes or these, type of things, can really sometimes put a lot of, well, the whole kinetic chain, but for me particularly, and maybe and for a lot of others, would put a lot of I don't want to say pain. I mean, certainly you can get pain, but for me, it was just a little bit of a soreness, a little bit of tightness. So just rolling that out every once in a while, when I'm standing, I remember, and then of course switching feet and roll up both feet. Again, you could use a little yoga block, those little small yoga blocks you can buy. Let Ariel in, and or whatever, even just a book or something, stack 2 books, and then you just prop your foot up so that you're changing your angle. Again, changing your angle so that your hip flexor and your hip and your low back is just engaged a little bit differently, and then of course switch it up, both legs, that type of thing. And again, you could just sort of, again, depends what you're doing, as we're on a call right now, like I'm not necessarily typing, so I can rock back and forth a little bit, still be paying attention to you. I could even stand on one leg, right? You can't tell, but I'm standing on one leg right now. A way to work on your balance. We're going to talk about that next week as well, balance. And now I'm switching it up. I can even even while we're right now. So I've now, again, you guys can't see, but I've spread my legs a little bit wider apart, and I'm actually, like, you can see I'm twisting it, but I'm actually engaging my hips and my glute. And so while I'm on a call here, I'm talking with you, I'm actually doing a little bit of stretching and engaging everything. So Ariel, just as you're joining us here, we just got right into it with Q&A. I thought I would, not to rehash everything I just said, but been sitting a lot in a different chair that I don't normally sit in. It's been putting a little pressure on my tailbone. So I decided, hey, I was talking about standing. Why don't I use my standing desk today? And that's kind of where our train of thought were with Doris's question here. She asked specifically about those wedges, those devices you can have under your desk, whether sitting or standing. And yeah, so I'm just kind of riffing on that. So
What do they call that item when you buy it on Amazon or
oh,
something?
good question. I'll look it up right now. I don't know what it's called. I've never actually had one myself. What would they be called? Of course, this is my crappy laptop too. It's so slow. I think because I'm on Zoom, it's making my search very slow. There we go. Ergonomic. Well, ask another question. I can talk and answer some other question while I'm looking this up. And my computer is very slow. Oh, here we go. Popped up right away. First thing. So they call it. Sorry, very slow computer. Ergonomic footrest, basically. And then, of course, Amazon, and it just happened to be an Amazon one. So, of course, Amazon shows you 20 different versions of it. So, yeah, definitely adjustable. So you can change the angle. This just seems to be plastic. It's like this particular one. It looks like maybe not the best quality, but probably good enough for home use. It's like 24 bucks. I see some others here for around 40. So, it's certainly not expensive.
When you're sitting long time, like in front of the computer, you should rest your feet on that too,
I would switch it up. I would rest my feet
and then stand up.
and then, well, okay, assuming you have a.
I don't have a no. I don't
so you don't have a standing desk. So certainly you want to, like we talked on Tuesday and you saw in the video, you want to take those breaks, right? You want to take, use Pomodoro technique or otherwise, take breaks, walk around, movement, etc. You want to be doing that anyway. If you're sitting and you have one of those, I would suggest, yes, use it, but also have times when your feet are also flat. Like you don't want to be, right? You're just, yes, you're changing the angle of your hips and hip flexors and knees and ankle and all that, but then you're into one static position again. So like change it around, so it's these, especially if they're plastic, or maybe rubber, like the one I'm just looking at right now, is going to be light enough that you should probably be able to just like grab underneath, move it, or kick it away with your feet, so you can have your feet flat, and then hook it with your foot and bring it closer again to do. So I'd switch it up all the time if you get one of those. One of the other things it just reminded me here. that I used to have, and I actually overused it and I broke it.
Mhm.
So and I never bothered to actually. Someone gave it to me. That's why it's like a plastic device. It's very similar to the bottom. This is why it triggered my memory. It's very similar to the bottom of how some of these are. It's basically like a half moon, if you will, and so let's call it a half moon with a straight piece, and the straight piece might even be shaped like a foot,
Mhm.
and even like with a little bit of a lip, so you can catch your heel in there, almost like, if you guys have been, I'm sure you have, an elliptical. You know how they have the foot pedals where you put your foot in and it's kind of has an edge all around so your foot doesn't
Yeah.
slide off. So if you think of that, but like in reverse, right? So that the edge, or sort of the open part is at the top and the edge is around the side of the bottom. And then it's kind of a curve or half moon. So you can rest your foot and then you can sort of roll it on the edge and stretch out your calves, or the two we typically call calves. There's two muscles back there. You can stretch them out. So I used to have one of those, and fantastic. And then it was just hard plastic, so degrades over time. You're putting weight on all the time. It broke it, but I mean, you can do the same stretch. Just putting your and we'll talk about stretching about on next week as well. And if you have the wall, you can just put your toes up the wall with your heel on the floor, and then just kind of lean into it and stretch out your the two sets of muscles behind your lower leg, what we typically call our calves, right? So anyway, just always good to be moving position and that sort of thing. So I don't know if you can tell I'm kind of rocking. I'm actually kind of doing mini steps. So I'm not letting my toes get off the ground, but I'm lifting my heels off just to get a little bit of movement. So
Mhm.
I'd like to say that I'm showing you all these variations to give you ideas, but I'm just actually fidgety. So that's as I'm coming to, it's like, oh, I'm doing something new. Actually, it's more like I'm looking at the camera at myself and I'm like, they can tell I'm moving. I should probably explain what I'm doing. So anyway. Good questions, Doris. Very good questions. I would send you the link, or I would drop in the chat, but my computer defaults to Amazon Canada, so
Yeah.
sometimes there's differences. But again, if it just what did I say it was called? It was called ergonomic footrest, and a million things will come up.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely an adjustable one too. Seems like most of them nowadays are adjustable. Yeah, and if more quality ones, you're getting up into the $40-50 range, but yeah, still not. And then texture too. So the other thing with if they have some texture, depending on how the texture is, you could also, well, again, if you're at home, I don't know, maybe you wear shoes indoors, but probably most of us don't. Again, either on your socks or your bare feet, right? Some of that texture you could use also to like work the proprioceptors in the bottom of your feet, which is also important. And even give a bit of a massage, depending on, I'm just looking at some of these. Some of these even look like you could offer a little bit of massage. So you could roll your bare foot, not only at the angle, the purpose of the whole thing, but you could probably roll your foot against and give yourself a little bit of a foot massage as well. So
Yeah.
my mom has like a ton of well, my mom's not very healthy, and it has excess weight for sure. So she has a lot of pains all over, but certainly in her lower body and that sort of thing. So she's got all manners of sort of foot massage devices, from foot baths to little wood, those little short little wood rollers that have ridges in them and everything in between. So, and she sometimes miscellaneous ones that somehow end up at our house. I'm like, where did this come from? I think some of those things my mom just left it or whatever. But yeah, so it's sometimes good. Again, sorry, Errol, I can't remember if you were already on when I was talking about the golf ball, but even just something hard or a lacrosse ball, or if that's a little bit too hard, use a tennis ball. Obviously, a tennis ball is bigger than a golf ball, but it gives you a bit of a bit of more height. So then again, you're just changing the angle. So even using different things, if that's something you want to try, golf ball, tennis ball, and then even maybe like a softball or something like that. Again, three different sizes, so you're just changing how much your foot is elevated while you're rolling. Again, everything's going to just keep you in motion and work your hip flexors and everything a little bit differently. Absolutely, go ahead.
That reminds me, I was going through a time a couple years ago where my feet were really hurting, different places in my feet, the ball under my toes, the arches, the heels, one heel especially. And I finally decided to go to a chiropractor because he's not as invasive as a doctor would have been. And he just said, well, as you continue to walk and are older, your arches and parts of your foot start to fall with gravity. And so as that happens, the bones in your feet move and that causes pain. So he did a little something in my arch with one of his little gadgets, and then he did 2 or 3 things to my feet, and I went to him periodically. And your idea about the balls, I wonder if that wouldn't help keep your arches more supple and not fall as much, because I've always had arches. My husband is flat-footed, so he doesn't go through this.
Yeah.
If that wouldn't help that, and I don't have any pain at all now after working with him for a while, but I
Yes.
think using the balls might be a good idea to keep it.
Certainly. And Ariel, you actually bring up a bigger topic altogether. So let's
Oh dear, I'm sorry.
no, that's okay. This is what this session is for. So, number one, I guess the first thing that came to mind is, I mean, that's great. You went to get help and hopefully got some relief there, pain relief. But, many people, tend to wear their shoes like too long. So like the first thing I would look at, again, I mean, if you have to buy new shoes, there's a cost to that, of course, but like basically a no to low cost solution is look at your shoes. Even if you're not like, certainly, when I used to run and be part of that community, like, there's kind of guidelines and how shoes are built to like how long they're supposed to last. It's kind of like, every so many hours of running or so many kilometers that you pounded, like you should really replace your shoes. And even if you're just walking consistently, which I hope, both of you, are or will get into as the habit. Of course, walking is not as, taxing on the shoe as say running with the impact and stuff. But over a certain point of time, maybe it's a year, maybe it's less, depending on what you walk. If you look, and probably none of us, myself included, let me take this back. If you look at my shoes after they've been worn, the outside edges are like gone, right? So I tend to press out, especially in the back. The back edge of my outside of my foot is where I'm putting pressure. So I've slowly the rubber starting to erode and I've shaved off, right? So when it gets like okay, it's time for a change. So basically for me, again, I don't run anymore, but just every day, I mean, there's almost winter here all the time, it seems like. But when I am wearing my runners and whatever, and certainly spring, summer, and that sort of thing, like a year, 18 months tops. And that's just walking around doing daily stuff. That's not even like using them for athletics or anything like that. So that's me. That's just my foot pattern and everything. So first thing I'd say is like look at your shoe. That'd be the number one thing. If you certainly see that, it could be the inside edge too, right? But whatever, if you see that it's one side is being shaved off the other, it's like, and it's quite pronounced, it's like it's probably time for new shoes. That'd be first thing, because that certainly can develop pain because you're not even anymore, right? Like, I mean, your body is uneven and that's why it's getting like that, but now it's even more pronounced because it doesn't have that edge to push off onto. That edge is gone now. So you've changed your mechanics, your walking mechanics. So shoe number one. Number two, I don't disagree with that over age, or as we age, our body changes with things. So this is no secret here, right? I'm not 100% sure about like your arches falling so much just because of age. I think that you have to take it back. What's the root cause? What is there? That's fascia, right? That's our muscle tone. So if we're doing healthy things for our whole body system, that should benefit. In this case, we're talking about our feet, but it's overall. So we're hydrated, right? We have enough protein and collagen production or synthesis. These are going to be things that are going to help our fascia, especially the fascia underneath our foot. So, and we have proper nutrition, et cetera. So these are the type of things that we should just keep in mind first as like just healthy modalities. And then go, yes, if we have an actual issue that goes even beyond that, or while we're building up to building those healthy habits to those things, then yes, see your chiropractor, that sort of thing. I think many people, and I see this with many my clients who are older. I see this with my in-laws. You know, they tend to wear shoes inside all the time. Well, I need the support. I need the support. You know, and it's like the reason you need support is because you don't walk enough around. You know, 40 years and whatever your job was, whatever it may be, you are working, you're wearing dress shoes or whatever the case may be, right? You know, you're always, you know, in it, right? People, you know, for the last since industrialization, so the last 150 years or what, or long, maybe a bit longer, people have just been all constantly wearing shoes. Like as soon as you go to school, you're like in shoes all the time. People don't walk around barefoot enough, even around their own homes, to develop and strengthen the muscles and the tendons and everything in your feet. And then it's like, well, my feet hurt when I walk on my hardwood floors. It's like, yes, because you're weak, your feet are weak. So then I have to wear shoes so they don't hurt. But then you're just compensating and you're never getting to improve your foot strength. And then your shoes become a crutch, essentially, right? So I'm a big proponent, again, we'll talk about this on Tuesday when we talk about strength training and stuff like that, to do as much as you can barefoot. You know, even if it's just, I don't know, it kind of depends on your situation, right? But, you know, I'm outside gardening. It's like, okay, well, if you can, you know, can you garden barefoot? You know, walk around your grass barefoot. You know, of course, you got to make sure there's you don't hurt your foot, obviously, right? But, you know, you gotta, you know, do that, or around the house. You know, so I'll be honest. Our house, with the exception of, well, our basement is pretty much carpeted. Most of our basement's carpet. The rest is all hardwood, tile, slate. You know, we have a variety of different things. And we have a dog, and, you know, so I do wear Birkenstocks, you know, which kind of give that arch support for me for part of my trip. And it's kind of weird if you came to our house. Okay, when we have guests over, I don't really do this because it's like I don't want my guests to think I'm weirdo, right? But essentially, the kitchen, like probably most, right, and that's where the dog's dishes. I mean, the kitchen floor is like yucky, right? It's like the kids are spilling crumbs, and it's like we can't clean enough to keep the kitchen floor clean enough, and our front entry or our mudroom. So like I literally, and then there's like literally a line where the tile of our kitchen ends, and then it's the hardwood for our living room. I literally like stop at this. It's literally a line because you have two different materials, right? There's literally a line. I like stop and I put on my Birkenstocks. It's more so, I mean, does it make my feet feel a little better, or it's a different? Yes. It's more so my socks and my feet don't get all dirty and crummy. And then when I come back into the living room, I kick them off, and then I walk around in my socks or my bare feet the rest of the house. So, I mean, that's just me. Yeah, Deepak's a weirdo, whatever. But point being is like, people just tend to need to walk barefoot more and strengthen their muscles and the tendons and everything in their feet. And certainly there's exercises, you know, one can do to strengthen their toes and other things. So I'm a huge proponent of doing as much things barefoot, and then it also includes strength training, you know, where it makes sense as well. So I think I gave you a lot more than you asked there, Ariel.
I have gone barefoot for years and years and years and years. What would really be nice is if I lived near water and could walk along a beach. I really would love that. However, right now, I'm in the middle of the forest and we have over 20 inches of snow on the ground. So I'm not going to walk barefoot today, but I had a habit and have always had the habit. And when I went to take care of this issue, he advised Birkenstocks, which thrills me because I love Birkenstocks. And it gave me an excuse to get a couple new pairs. So I do use them. And I find that when I wear them, which I do in the winter in the house, there are different kinds. There are some that are, you just slip on your foot in and they're like, look like clogs that have a rounded covered toe, or they look like a shoe without a back. My feet don't do so well as those. It's just in the regular standard sandals.
Yeah. And that's what I have too. Yeah.
So I love them.
What I was going to say to your comment, but I just thought I changed my position again. So I'm standing on one leg, and my other leg is my heel. Sorry, my ankle is just right below my knee, and then the The ankle of my elevated leg is right below my knee of my stationary leg. And so my other knee is out. So now I'm trying to pull my knee as far back. So I'm stretching out my my groin and my hip flexor while we're standing here. And I'm getting a little bit of activation in my outside of my glute as well. So just,
Oh
oh
my.
no, we lost Doris. Hopefully she's back in a second here. But what I was going to say is, you know, walking in sand, so huge benefits, multitude. So walking in sand, oh, good, Doris, you're back. Awesome. I thought we lost you there. Okay. Yeah, so walking in sand, you know, again, different type of material. So whether it be, you know, dirt or grass or, you know, sand, whatever, right? You know, our foot's going to react. Not only are we getting different textures to the proprioceptors on the bottom of our feet, right? So we're getting different stimuli. And again, that's sending information to our brains as well. So that's good for the, you know, mind-body connection as well. But also as the sand just slightly gives away, right? You know, as you're walking, you know, right? You know, that's also working your muscles a little bit different, and all the tendons and ankle flexibility now than as you were walking on just straight grass or straight pavement or whatever, right? Because the sand is always just like giving away a little bit as every step. So that's just working it a little bit different. So that's good. And then as well, you know, walking in the sand, you know, with the water slopping up, you know, up on your feet or whatever the case may be, is like you're also like grounding yourself as well, right? You're releasing positive ions from your body that we got from a million things in our environment, and picking up all the negative ions from the ocean water and the earth and everything. So that's just a huge, you know, healthy benefit as well. And, you know, I talk more about that in some of my other courses, and it's out of scope for this course, but that's a great practice as much as you can. And I agree with you. I have, there's some peaks of grass starting to poke up, but other parts where we've shoveled it, you know, there's still 8 feet of snow in some parts and 2 feet in other, and some parts of the grass is starting to come up. So I'm fairly fair weather, so I'm not walking around barefoot right now outside, but I will in the
Yeah, I am
summer. I
too.
will in the summer. Yeah.
I do too. It's just, this is all new snow since yesterday, late last night. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Doris?
Will we be going over some exercises for lymphatic drainage?
For
Because-
lymphatic drainage.
Good idea.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, right? So, you know, just movement in itself is going to provide lymphatic drainage, right? And actually, that was my email post today, if you guys saw that. You know, so just general movement as well. Certainly, strength training will provide that as well. You know, another thing you can do, and you know, get a bit out of scope here, but we're just kind of open Q&A. So one thing I do is I do dry skin brushing. Have you guys heard of this? Yeah.
Oh, I've heard, no,
Okay,
not
so
a
I'll just
lot.
okay, so basically, you know, and there's multiple ways to do this, and I'll just describe my practice, and we can expand from that. So, you know, after we get off our call today, I'm gonna go jump in my sauna. You know, sitting there my daughter's gonna turn on in a little bit. It'll be pre-warmed. It'll be over 100 degrees. Before I even get in there, by the time I'm done, it'll be 135, something like that. I'll be just drenched, and then and I'll do my meditation in there. Then when my meditation's done, I have a nice hand carved kind of brush, and it's a horsehair bristles, right? So it's nice and, you know, it's soft enough. It's not hard. And basically, I rub my skin from farthest away from my body, from my core towards my core, or towards the lymph nodes. So example, so we have lymph nodes in our neck and kind of in our groin. They're all over the place, but the sort of main ones. So I'll raise my hand, my arm above my head, and I'll brush downwards toward, right? And then for my legs, I will brush upwards to sort of the lymph nodes, and then my shoulders, my upper body, my back, I'll brush downwards. And, you know, I'll brush essentially my entire body. And so that's one thing I do for also added, you know, if you think about it, considering how much movement I have in my day, I probably don't need to do that, but it certainly helps, right? Certainly I'm doing more, you know, plus, you know, how pliable I am after being, you know, heated and everything. So in my case, it's not really dry skin brushing because I'm actually soaked, right? But I mean, you don't have to be in the sauna. You don't have to just jump in out of the shower or whatever. You can just literally do it with on dry skin. That's where the name comes from. But yeah, that helps with lymphatic drainage for sure. And then Doris, I know this wasn't actually your question. I'm just going to expand on a bit, like glymphatic drainage, right, from our brain, you know, super important. That's why we need to get enough sleep, especially our deep sleep was when we were getting most of that. And our deep sleep tends to be more in the first half of our evening. So, you know, it's essentially the same system, right? It's more just, you know, they call it something different because it's for the head and the brain, but it's essentially the same thing. So yeah, super important. Just I think just movement in general. I don't know if there's any really I mean, massage would certainly help, and you can certainly self-massage as well. So I would certainly, you know, again, massage in that same manner from away from your body, you know, like towards your limbs, you know, and that sort of thing. So
what about I had someone tell me once that daily time on a mini rebounder, just kind of like lifting up your feet like you did, just lifted your heels, you kept your toes down. It wasn't jumping. Hang on, take care of it, Cam. It wasn't jumping on the rebounder as much as just moving your body up and down on it and having that motion.
yeah, Errol, thank you for bringing that up. I completely forgot about rebounder, so thank you for that. Yeah, so I hear what you're saying, so I'll explain both. So yeah, using a rebound or a mini trampoline and just doing even light little bounces of just, you know, a centimeter or something, that's super good for just movement and flow, and you get a tiny bit of you're going to burn a few calories that way too. I see what you're saying of just, you know, keeping your heels, sorry, the front of your feet and just lifting your heels and bouncing on that, you're going to get a little bit. Yes, that will certainly do that as well. The other thing that remind me of, you know, you can get these vibration platforms. I have one, and you can do a whole multitude of things, and there's some really interesting science and results for a variety of conditions. But you know, just standing or even sitting on one of these vibration platforms, just in itself will, you know, you literally don't have to do anything. You just like stand there, and you know that'll provide enough movement, especially if it's a quality one, to provide, you know, fluid movement and lymphatic drainage as well. So
my mother had one where she would lie down and put her ankles in a little machine that vibrated, and so it vibrated her whole body, but she was lying with her ankles in a and I don't remember what we called it, but she used that. I really think that helped her. And she died when
were
she
her
was
feet
9.
elevated? Were her ankles elevated?
Yeah, just a tad, just a little bit. And I can't, it has the name of something machine, and I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, certainly if her ankles are elevated, and I mean, depending on the power, of course, and what you're saying is she could feel throughout her whole body. So obviously,
Yeah, her whole body would
the
vibrate.
vibration was reverberating throughout her entire body.
Right.
And you know, we have these, you know, of course, the long bones in our legs, right? It's going to hit our
Right.
hips and it's going to connect to our spine, so that makes sense. Plus, you know, all our, you know, our fascia system's all connected. So for
True.
you know, vibrating our fascia, you know, so for me, I have one. And I sometimes when my nieces and nephews come over, then my kids will turn it on. They'll stand on one leg and see how long they can stand vibrating. They'll turn it up as high. I use it. I do my leg exercise in there. So I'll do squats. I'll do squats on it, and mine. I can set it to vibrate in 3 different planes. So it'll go forward and back, side to side, and up and down. And I'll just like rotate. So it's happening like. It's changing direction, and I don't know what it is, like
Oh my goodness.
hundreds of direction changes in like per second type, or maybe not that much, but maybe 10 per second. So it's like it's going in all 3 different planes at the, you know, constantly changing. So it's just like that. And if I just stand on it and like go, you know, be like right, right,
Yeah.
right, because it's vibrating my whole body. But then what I do is just wide enough I can get in a squat stance, and I'll do, you know, just you know, I'm a little bit more advanced, you know, I'll do some stuff. I don't have like a big bar with a ton of weight on my back. Sometimes I just have a small barbell, or sometimes it's just my body
Oh my
weight,
goodness.
right?
Oh my
But
goodness.
I'm doing that while it's vibrating. So not only am I working the major muscles, which we'll talk about on Tuesday, I'm working all the little other small muscles and all the compensatory muscles all at the same time, because I have to, stabilize. My body has to stabilize as I'm going down while I'm vibrating, right? So it takes some getting used to, but I've kind of got, and then I'll also do lunges on there as well.
I
So.
gotta tell you, I'd have to have chairs all around me so I could hold on to some to start.
Well, hey,
I'd probably get stronger.
I'm glad that you said that, Ariel, because when we talk about this on Tuesday about getting started with some of these exercise, it's like, hold on to a chair, hold on to the wall, you know, if you need to, right?
Yeah.
And we'll discuss some different progressions, right? Because sometimes people have this notion of, oh, that of a certain exercise, and like, yeah, that's maybe the standard, but you can always make an exercise easier or harder.
Right.
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 So we'll talk more about that
That's
next week.
crazy.
So Doris, just going back to your lymphatic question, I mean, you know, and then Doris, sorry, Ariel kind of added another, and we kind of expanded. Did that kind of answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And Doris, I'm just curious, just because, you know, we've had a conversation about some of your past and current medical history. Is that something you focus on? Do you do some well, obviously, besides just general movement, do you anything specifically like dry skin brushing, self massage, anything like that for lymphatic flow?
Um, I have I used to do dry brushing. Um, I haven't done it for a little while, and I have a vibration platform, but I haven't used it. I bought it a couple weeks ago, and I do have a trampoline, but it's now in the garage because it's pretty big, so I'll have to bring it back in to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you have some of those tools if you can just incorporate, you know, like maybe
Yeah.
one session a week of all of them, then you've done, you know, 3 modalities, you know, and then you know, it's just taking the small steps, you know, 5 minutes, then maybe it's 10 to the point where, you know, maybe there's some activity where you can incorporate with something else you're doing, right? Stacking habits, right?
Mhm.
I'm just going to make something up, right? This might not make any sense at all, but like, for example, you know, you could, okay, we're going to talk about this balance next week, but you know, like one simple thing is like, you know, when you're brushing your teeth, is to stand on one leg, right? I think I might even said in the workshop that you've attended, you know, so you know you're doing an activity you're already doing, right? You're already brushing your teeth, stand on one leg, work on your balance. Okay, that's pretty simple. And of course, you know, you have to work up things. I'm just making this up, Doris, like just a suggestion, not saying go run out and do this right now tonight. But what if you move that vibration platform into your bathroom, assuming you have the space and everything, and you work your way to brushing your teeth, standing on one leg while you're vibrating. Just think how good, you know, once you master that, it'll be tough at first. Maybe you have to hold on to the counter, but once you can master that, just think how much improvement your balance would have, right? So
Mhm.
that's not a suggestion or whatever. I'm just saying, like, you have some of these tools, you're already doing certain things, try and stack some small little habit. And again, you don't have to do that every day, just try it once a week, whatever the case may be. And then pretty soon it's like, that's easy, that's easy, that's easy. And then a year later, you're like, yeah, that's just how I do it. What are you
Yeah.
talking about, right? Yeah, so I mean, I use that brushing your teeth, standing on one leg while you brush your teeth as an example all the time because it's pretty simple. But honestly, I don't do that because I do my balance work elsewhere. After I do my whether it's a cardio and strength training day or just a cardio day, and I do my stretching, I've made balance work as part of my stretching routine. So what I do is I've had some shoulder stuff in the past. So I basically do essentially they're physio exercises for my shoulder. So with a small weight, you know, maybe 5 to 10 pounds, you know, I kind of do all the things for my uh, I'm totally drawing a blank here. Anyway, my rotator cuff, all the four muscles of what we call the rotator cuff. All right, so I'm going in to out, out to in, stationary to back, and then forward. Right, so 4 different motions. So with that 5 or 10 pound weight, I'll stand on one leg And I'll do that, 20 this way, 20 this way, 20 this way, 20 this way, and then I'll switch. And that's a simple way. There, got my balance work in. And of course I do it barefoot as well. So, it just whatever it works for us. Sometimes, you can do lateral raise, you stand on one leg, do a lateral raise, with some small weight or a band or something like that. There's lots of little things you can incorporate. You're standing in line,
Oh, yeah.
at the wherever, and probably want to anyway, because again, maybe the floor is hard, you're at the DMV or whatever, concrete floor, cement floor, and you're like just waiting, it's, besides you should just be rocking and, moving again, again, things I'm doing right now, just whatever to keep a little bit of movement, not get stiff, and yeah, stand on one leg while you're waiting there.
Mhm.
No one's gonna care. No one's gonna care, right?
Yeah, do you do your sauna every day, or you're doing it multiple times a week?
I do it every day that I'm home. I just feel amazing when I do the sauna, and then I go have a cool to cold shower. Like here, it's winter still. I mean, it's starting to get spring, but I'll have a cool shower in the winter because it's already cold out, and then in the summer when it's hot out, I'll have like a cold shower. And that contrast of like 130 degrees Fahrenheit to run out basically just from like a walk to my basement up to my shower and get in at cold water, like that contrast just I mean, it takes some getting used to, of course, but it just feels amazing. I feel like $1,000,000 afterwards. You're not tired, you're totally awake, everything. So, plus I do my meditation in there. So again, a habit stack. Sometimes if I have the time, I'll read in there. I'll read for 15, 20 minutes till I get sweaty enough. I'm like, oh, I don't want to sweat on my book. Then I, put the book away and then I'll start my meditation. So I try and do a few things. So yes, I do it every day that I'm home. I know all the studies, many of the studies out of Finland, kind of show all these studies you hear about the heart health benefits of sauna and the longevity benefits of sauna, blah, blah, blah. And they typically are like 3 or 4 days, most of these studies. And I think that's just more from how they have to run a study. Just make it easier for the participants to run the study. I have not seen anything that's like, oh, too much sauna, too much heat, too much red light is, bad for you, both. So I do it every day.
About half an hour?
It depends. It's typically about half an hour. Sometimes I'll go longer if I have time. So I go in, again, I pre-warm it. So it's already nice and warm when I get in there. I have I have an infrared sauna, so there's no moisture or anything. It's just only my sweat is the only moisture in there, right? So on the back wall, I have some mantras and stuff like that. So I go in, I read my mantras. Then I turn on my little timer in there and I typically do my meditation, 20 minutes. And then that's done. I do my dry skin brushing. I'll do those eye exercises that we talked about that I showed you on Tuesday. And by the time that's all done, that's about 30 minutes. Yeah. And if I have more time, if I have a lot of time, I'll just go in there like fresh, or like not like just right as I turn it on. And it takes 10 or 15 minutes before I even start to feel like I'm sweating. So that's when I'm like, I'm gonna read a book, and I'll read it for 10, 15 minutes, and then okay, and so I've sat in there for like a whole hour before. I've done that before. And then it's just the towel's soaked afterwards.
Does your whole family use the sauna?
My wife does sometimes. I find not to stereotype, but I find women typically don't like to sweat so much. So my wife does sometimes. If she's feeling a little something coming on, she's more inclined to do that.
Good idea.
Or if she's really cold, or like she's maybe not sick, but she's like, I feel something's coming on and it's winter and I just feel cold then she'll go do that. The kids, again, I have 2 girls, they don't like sweating either. So I was able to get them in more frequently when they were younger, and now as they get older and they have more of their own opinion and blah blah blah, like they don't really go in there, especially my oldest one who's will be officially a teenager in 9 days. She doesn't want to sweat or anything like that. So it's but hopefully it'll come around. Yeah.
Do you find it's better to do it at the beginning of the day or towards the end of the day, or is there any certain time of day it works better?
I don't think it really matters what
Okay.
time. I think, like many things, the best time to do it is when you're going to do it. Um, when I've had my sauna for, gosh, I was still working corporately, so this is quite a while ago. So eight, maybe 10 years now I've had my sauna.
Okay.
So what I used to do, the reason I bring that up is I used to, I'd get up earlier than I do now, do my exercise, not my strength training, I'd do my cardio, stretching, and then I go in the sauna, and then I'd shower and get ready for work. So I did all that in the morning, and I do my meditation in there, all that. Nowadays, just how lifestyle is, and obviously I don't have to commute and all that sort of thing. It's basically once the kids come home, and we have a dog now, which we didn't back then. So I mean, it's not like I don't, if the day dictates it, I'll have an earlier sauna, but most days it's kind of before supper. So again, like today, we're going to be done here in 11 minutes. The sauna's already pre-warming, or should be. My daughter remembered, and then I'll jump in there right after we get off. Get my sweat on, have a shower, and then start making dinner.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's just how our day is structured. It makes sense now. Where I was going with my earlier comment is that the kids are home, so like I don't have to worry about the dog if I'm in the sauna. Otherwise, he's older now, but when he was like a puppy, it's like I can't leave him alone, so I'd have to like put him in his cage while I go, and then he'd whine, and like now he's old, he can hold it. He's house trained now, so he can wander around, right? Whatever. I still don't let him go downstairs though, because then he'll just like paw at like, let me in, let me in. I was like, so we have a gate, so I still keep him isolated upstairs if I go downstairs.
Yeah.
I have to admit, just because I'll just share this because it does relate to movement. If my dog has gone, like I know he's gone to, both number one and number two, like there's no worry of any of, or him needing to do that in the next hour. I'll take him downstairs where we have carpet, where I do my workout. And I'll have to admit, he's like watching me on the elliptical is like the most boring thing to him. He just like either he falls asleep just right there, or he's like, I'm bored, and he walks off and just goes somewhere else. He's like, you're on that thing. You're not playing with me for at least half an hour.
Exactly.
I'm out of here.
Exactly.
So, yeah. All right, we got 9 minutes left. What else can we talk about, movement or otherwise? Some really great questions. I love the questions that you guys always bring up every Thursday.
How do you spell Pomodoro for that what we talked about on Tuesday?
The Pomodoro break.
Yes.
Pomodoro.
Okay.
Pomodoro. Yes, exactly.
That's what I thought. I was using it on my computer and it kept coming up misspelled, but then it does that for odd words. So
yeah.
Because I just wanted to make sure I was spelling it right.
Yeah. There are like there's apps for it, there's timers, all these sorts of things that you can you definitely use, but I think just generally just understanding the concept of every so often you take a small break, and then after a number of those, roughly every 2 hours, you want to take a longer break.
My daughter is a coach, not my daughter, my niece is a coach, and she uses another named process. Starts with an S. Soji. Anyway, it reminds me of an Oriental word, and it's the same kind of process, only if you really have to get something done and you are not doing it and you're procrastinating and not doing it, you take 20 minutes and you set the timer and you work on that for just 20 minutes. And then you decide when that time is up, whether or not you're going to continue working on it, which often happens if you've really made progress. Soji. I think it's a Soji process. I'll have to ask her.
Yeah, I mean, people just name these things
idea.
after. Yeah, people name these things after themselves or whatever, right? So I think
I'll think of one.
exactly.
Same with the
You know,
aerial process.
actually, just as an aside, I'm kind of joking, but not really, because someone's actually told me this. They're like my, so obviously this is sort of my entry level course, right? Kind of, high level here. And, when I work with somebody one-on-one, obviously we get more in depth and all those type of things. But someone's like, you should like, trademark your methodology, like the Deepak method or the Saney method or whatever type of thing. And like, and I was like, yeah, maybe someday, whatever. But anyway,
Maybe
I
you
digress.
can,
I digress. But
well, you could do that if you've had a number of people. And if you're working with individuals, that'll happen. A number of people who take one of your processes and it becomes a real cornerstone to what they do, so that you have, what's the word? Not evidence, but you can refer, if you give it a name, you can refer to it and they'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, there's so many things, and we need to belittle this, but I'll just, there's so many, you probably heard that maybe the Silva method, and there's all these different things. It's like, it's just the guy's name or the woman's name, right? They're just like the whatever, right? But anyway, back to what you're saying there, again, just taking the breaks, and what you made me remember of, just even from, whether you're someone who's like really creative, who puts out content, or even just like your, work a corporate job and you have to like get stuff done. When you kind of have that point, whether it be like, I'm tired, I need a break, or it's just like, I'm stuck, I don't understand the problem. Sometimes just like getting up, walking outside, sunlight, nature, fresh air for 5 or 10 minutes is like, boom, problem solved. I have an idea. I'm going to try something different. Like it might not work, but that type of thing. And again, like I talked about in week 1, or maybe it was week 2, I found meditation, again, teach their own, right? But I find meditation, the benefits, one of the benefits is problem solving for me. Something that's been on my mind. I can't, how do I do this? Is this possible? What should I try? When I'm in meditation, sometimes ideas come to me, they don't always work. Or the other thing is like ideas, seemingly separate ideas come together.
Okay.
I have a problem here, or I'm looking for something here. I meditate, and then all of a sudden somebody will pop in my head. I was like, oh wait, doesn't John know something about that? And then I go follow up with John, and sometimes like, oh yeah, I absolutely do that. I was like, no, I don't do that exactly, but I know what you mean. Try this or something. But like when I get my mind in that state, that's one of the benefits I have found, is like ideas merge for me. So anyway, that's a separate thing than just getting outside and getting some fresh air and giving yourself a break. But all these things, different modalities are good for, again, whether we just need to get refocused on whatever we're doing, or for creativity or what have you.
But
Yes, go ahead, Doris.
you talk about meditation. I got a question. Do you think guided meditations is better, for novice than just silently meditating yourself?
I think if you're just starting out, I think guided meditation is very helpful. That's how I started. Not saying that's the right way. I just think when you're listening to someone, right, the whole point of meditation is not to have like clear mind. I'm not thinking about anything. You're going to think about stuff. The part of meditation is to, like, when your mind starts to wander, to like train your mind to like come back to focus on the breath, focus on a mantra, if you're using a mantra, whatever the case may be. So I think having someone, a guided one, to help train you of how to bring your mind back, I think is super valuable. Like I probably did guided for maybe the first 18 months or 2 years, to the point where like I just trained my body. Like I know how long 10 minutes is now. I know how long 7 minutes, and now I pretty much within a minute or two, I know how long 20 minutes is. Because if I'm out, at the lake house, and I decide, oh, I'm going to meditate, the lake's quiet, nobody's out here yet, and I'm going to just do my meditation right now. I don't have a timer, right? I have my watch, right? Or, well, I don't have a tracking watch anymore, but I did, and I'd set it, but it doesn't have an alarm. It's just like literally just just stopwatch basically. And then I'd like, oh, okay, and I look, yeah, it was 21 minutes, or it's like, oh, it's 18 and a half minutes. Like pretty much, like my body kind of got sync to it. So to your point, Doris, to your question, I think that's a great way. I'm thinking, I can't remember, it was, maybe Headspace it was. They're talking you through, and it's like, imagine, and even they teach you, like, imagine you're sitting on the side of the road on a nice, beautiful park, and the birds are chirping, and then they'll even chirp little birds or whatever. And it's like, and cars are going by, and then the cars start to get too fast, and it's like, in your mind, slow the cars down. Like, they're kind of training you how to, so that you don't need them anymore. Well, obviously they're an app and they're trying to make money. They want you to keep using it, right? But I think we can teach ourselves over time. So long-winded way, Doris, yes, I think guided is a good way to start for someone who's a novice.
Have you found yourself sometimes when you're so relaxed, you fall asleep in meditation?
Oh, especially if I'm tired. Yes, absolutely. There have been times I've been in my sauna and I've fallen asleep, and what wakes me up is my head falling forward, and I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, okay, and then I just close you just come back to the breath, and there's been times where it's like, that's happened 3 times in 20 minutes. I'm like, obviously I'm very tired. I actually need sleep.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, 1 minute late. 1 minute late. 1 minute left. One last question. Doris or Ariel?
Did you mention the website called Headspace?
I think it's just headspace.com, I think.
Yeah, I have Calm and I have BrainTap. So,
Yeah. Oh yeah, you BrainTap. Yeah, BrainTap. Yeah, I've never used BrainTap. I'm very familiar with it. I haven't used it. I started with Headspace, then I went to Calm. Like, I didn't want to pay for anything, so I just used all the free versions. You get so long of free.
Mhm.
And then when I went through all Calm like twice over, I went back to Headspace, and then I realized, like, I don't like a man's voice guiding me. I like a woman's voice. So I went back to Calm, but I was like, I'm kind of bored with Calm. So I tried a few different ones. But then again, this is now at this point, I'm just playing around trying to find. So I was like maybe I don't need an app. And I realized, like, I don't need an app anymore.
Great.
If you're talking to us, Ariel, you're muted.
I know. Did I miss any announcements?
No announcements.
Okay.
Yeah, just so next week is the last week. There might be a surprise next Thursday.
Okay.
But next week's the last week officially, and we're going to finish up our movement. We're going to talk about balance. We talked a little bit about balance, strength training, basics of strength training, and we're going to talk about something called the Centenarian Olympics. So I'm just going to tease that. You can think about that. I bet if you Google it, you'll probably find something different than the way I'm going to approach it. So
No, I'll wait for you.
yeah. All right. And again, yeah, just
myself.
Things that you've picked up either this week on Tuesday's class or earlier, like, try and implement what you can, even some of the stuff we talked today, whether it be balance or, maybe Doris, if you feel inclined, you maybe pull out the platform, or you said the trampoline's a bit larger, so maybe that's not a good idea, but figure something. I'd love to hear what you guys come up with on over the weekend and such on Tuesday.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Yep. Have a great weekend, and we will see you on Tuesday.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.